if you're in recovery or know somebody in recovery, I think we've all heard about this thing called relapse. Or even if you have cancer and you've had a relapse, you were in a remission and then it flares up again and you're like, oh no, this is another worst day of my life. And in addiction, we have these things where we go on little benders or slips or relapses, I call them, and it's horrific for everybody involved, especially the people that were like so hopeful after 3 months or 5 months or 6 months or a couple of years. And I think a lot of people say that relapse is just part of recovery. I think it just shows that you have a lack of recovery. And so this little message is for everybody on both sides. And so it's kind of like just a wake-up call for those that are in recovery and those that are fans of those in recovery. And so I just had a reflection of, I don't know, has anybody played blackjack? Yeah, I'm not a gambler, but I have been to the blackjack table. It's too much. It's too exciting for me. And it's like you might win, but you might lose more. And it's like you get these cards on the blackjack table, and it's like a 10 and a queen. And you need 21 for blackjack. And so you see that the dealer has a 9. And odds are he might get a 10. There's a lot of 10 cards. So he might get 19, you have 20. And so you have an option right there, and it's called... Yeah, you could split. I didn't even think of that, but double down. You can double down, right? You can double down. So whatever you bet, you double down. And so either you win it all or you lose it all. And so it gets a little bit stressful. That's why I don't gamble. And I don't have money to gamble. And so in the big book, there's this letter to the wives. And you would think that one of the wives wrote it, but the wife that was called to write it said, I'm not writing that letter. Nah. And so one of the founders of AA actually wrote the letter in this context. And so I'm just going to paraphrase, but it's to the wives of, it's to the families of, it's to the fans of, it's to the friends of the person that is suffering with addiction and whatever that is. So there's this recovery idea of remission. And so I in the big book, it says, I'm never cured. It's dependent. I have a daily reprieve dependent on my relationship with the Spirit of God. And so that's what I get on a daily basis. And so it comes into this hopeful setting of everything's going okay. The sun is rising again. They haven't relapsed. Like, this is awesome. We have a whole new life. You're back into the responsibility of things. You're taking care of business. You're providing. You're helping. You're participating. And then it says, perhaps they will make a fair start on the new basis. The new basis being the spiritual life, a new spiritual connection with power. But just as things are going beautifully, they dismay you by coming home hammered. Or not at all. But if you're satisfied that they really do want to get help and that they don't want to keep going like this and that they want to get the garbage fire put out, then don't be overly alarmed. Though it is indefinitely better that they have no relapse at all, but it has been true of many of our type, but by no means it's a bad thing in some cases. It can guide you and lead you and say, okay, what I was doing wasn't exactly working. Your person will see at once, and so this is for the guy that's relapsed. Do you see at once that you must redouble your spiritual activities if you expect to survive? So everybody in this room that is connected to addiction at some level, if the person has a relapse, whatever it is, it's the food, the pornography, the drugs, the alcohol, the whatever, and they have a relapse, we both need to realize something. If you want to get well, what do you have to do? Double down. And that's my experience. I didn't have this language, but I had 6 months of reprieve at a rehab center. I re-entered the household to take my place as a man. I didn't know what that was, but oh wow, I found out that I had no time or money. I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself. Everybody needed something right at that time. And I was like, this is demanding. Like, oh my goodness, like these little people and the wife and the house and the bills and the job and the work and wow. And I relapsed. And I relapsed a few times in that 6-month period. And what I did was I couldn't ever go back to that because what it was hell to me. And I had some reprieve and I had a little bit of a spiritual awakening. And I said, I need to do more. And I called my sponsor. And I remember one wet Monday morning, he met with me and I was still twitchy. And that's an embarrassing meeting with a guy that's not twitchy and you're twitchy, if you know what I mean. And it's just awkward. And I don't even know what he said to me. Like, it probably didn't make sense. And, well, it didn't make sense to me, but I went at it. And I doubled down. And I doubled down my spiritual life because I didn't have much to double down. So I just doubled down what I was doing. And so spiritual activities, if I'm doubling down spiritual activities, those would include prayer and meditation. Those would be seeking counsel. Those would be doing the steps. Those would be doing service to others. And eventually, I became a pastor. That's how bad it was. I kept doubling down. And if you're like me, maybe you'll be a nun. Maybe you'll be a priest in like Africa or wherever. Oh my, yeah. So that's what happens when you double down. So if you keep relapsing, just put double down. And at some point, all of your activities all day long, every day, are going to be of a spiritual nature. And that would be, many of us have got into service work and actually get paid to do it. Maybe not much. Can I get an amen, Jordan? But we got everything we need. And we're sober today because of a connection to God through our spiritual activities. And so I just want to encourage everybody here that we need to know the truth. And so as an addict, I like to lie and exaggerate and minimize and deny. And so now you're all armed with what do you do when you relapse? I double down. And then I double down again. And some of you will turn into nuns. Good for you. At least you won't be freaking drinking or sticking a needle in your arm. And you'll be living a spiritual life that means something, and that in the end you will spend eternity with the Spirit giver. And that's worth more than trying to figure it out again. So double down, and then double down again, and then double down some more if you keep relapsing. And then one day you'll end up as a addiction worker. Yeah, 40-cent raise. Yeah. Yeah, you got to celebrate the little things. So I just want to leave you with that today. Relapse isn't part of recovery. It's a symptom that you don't have enough of it, and that's conscious contact with God. So just double down your efforts. That is my encouragement for all of you tonight. Now you're in the know. Don't be deceived. Don't be in delusions. And keep passing on the message. So thank you guys for coming to Ashes to Rubies. You can support us through buying our merch. Oh, we got some pizza left. We got some awesome servers today. They're employed by Ashes to Rubies and Union City Church, right? Yeah. Yeah. Getting those community service hours Some of us are like, I didn't think she looked like she stabbed anybody. Wow. Good for her. Community service. Way to go, kids. Keep selling on the block. Oh, high school service hours. Yeah, good stuff. So we got our shirts. We got online stuff. We got our YouTube channel. All of our performances, all of our material, our content for addiction recovery is on there. So please tune in, subscribe, like, share, and all that stuff. Use that as a resource. We do, if you are in recovery or want to figure that out, we have a Wednesday noon meeting on Zoom. And then a lot of us come to Thursday night right here at 7:30. It's called the Upper Room Recovery Meeting. It's an open meeting. and open to all recoveries as well. So we have come to understand that we can't do this alone. You can do addiction alone and hurt a lot of people, but you can't do recovery alone. And so we come together as a fellowship, and we high-five each other, and we give people opportunities, and we pass on a message of hope. So thank you guys for coming tonight.